What's up, fight fans? I'm J.Cotto, and welcome to J.Cotto's Fight Page. And today I'm going to be bringing you the meaning of a championship title. You know, for years we've seen men and women compete for the most coveted prize in the sport, the championship title. This event that happens in the ring becomes historical, and when the title changes hands, it becomes invaluable, incalculable, something special. From the big names in the sport all the way down to the just graduated prospect, winning a title solidifies exactly all you have accomplished so far within the sport and your career. Many titles have changed hands after long, hard, grueling matches, and some were won by KO, some by decision, but none can argue the fact that a championship solidifies a fighter. Nowadays, there are more titles than the letters in the alphabet, and it seems like everyone gets a trinket for some small accomplishment. There are many departments in having a title where just having a strap becomes work, like title defenses. They are a huge part of a championship title and a responsibility that must be met with heart and strong determination. In today's demographic, a champion does not unify, does not fight their mandatories as well as highest or closest ranked opponent. Most star-studded matches of today where the high-ranked opponent meets the champion comes with a high price tag. It's lackluster matchup and negligence, as well as low standards that's thrown towards us fight fans. But most champions understood that the value of the title was made by the value of the fighter. Winning a strap off of an elite fighter is the way it's done, not fighting a champion who is a mediocre fighter who wins a vacant title off of another mediocre fighter or minus pedigree fighter. To unify is what boxing is all about. Today, all titles from the sanctioning bodies are scattered within the division and fighters to become undisputed. A unified champion kills all of this confusion on who is the best, second best, so on and so forth. Yes, the fighters, the times, and some rules have changed. But being a champion, being an undisputed, undefeated, or unified, undisputed champion is what boxing is all about. A good fighter who carried the sport and was a bit lackluster but was a defensive genius and had more titles than the WBC, or should I say had more WBC titles, once said, titles don't make me, titles don't make champions, or titles don't make fighters. That's wrong in all ways, because then why fight? For money? Okay. Then no legacy. Nothing to show for your work in the sport you made money off of. Nope, not in the ring at least. To become a great fighter, that trophy is what makes you elite. Makes you the man or woman who is top notch. The creme of the creme. Champion is not just a labeled name. It's a title. A feat achieved by an athlete who is superior to the common man. Made of gold, platinum, leather. That is exotic, of course. Rubies, diamonds, emeralds. Yes, it is expensive, but to compete for it is covenant. Many greats have possessed them, and most had all of the titles. Or should I say some. But to become champion and have great fights, not fights that are labeled great with a high price tag and hype, and becomes lackluster because of the fact of high pay and no value behind straps. Some fighters today are trying to unify as well as compete at a high level, but some fighters with big names no longer want to represent their names and fight competitively, only against fighters with low or diminishing pedigree. So the value in that fighters division is basically diluted, and henceforth they are all not respected. It's funny how most would still argue that straps don't make fighters, but to become champion of the world is and was the dream, as well as prospects who are high ranked fighting on their mandatory position and defending or defeating an elite champion that actually graduates that prospect to champion. And if he or she loses, they get to become a seasoned vet till the next title shot. Example, Tyson, Larry Holmes, Ali Liston. Now when two athletes that are champions meet, that's boxing. That's a treat for us fight fans, especially for a title. All-around championships are needed. And it should be WBA, WBO, IBF, WBC. Only 4, not 3 for every strap. Some call them alphabet belts, some call them trinkets, and some call them paper straps. And they're all correct. It is supposed to be win fights, get big fights, bigger money, championship match, big money, become champion, become wealthy. Now it's become a fighter, impress to 15-0, get hundreds of thousands of dollars for prospect fights. If you sell well, get skipped through rankings, do well, get a major trinket, do mediocre, get a minor trinket, impress to 20-0, more big money, etc., etc. No glory in this method, really. No, really. No hard work. If fighters would stick to fighting and working their way up to getting big money, then we wouldn't have this problem, would we? But just staying honest with oneself and not going for the big money fights with smaller names, but big fights with big names that are mandatories is what has to come back. If a fighter has control nowadays of their career, then how is it they give us lackluster, mediocre boxing matches? Television is good for boxing, but not as a whole. Pay-per-view is and makes a major event when it has to, but only when the championships has this fight's worth. No man can control the sport. Controlling a promoter doesn't call for controlling a sport. Money manipulation does, but the sport, several names define the sport, not because of money or materials, but because they threw hands with the best, solidifying their legacy. Dignity for the 4 major titles has to be restored, but this can only be done by the sanctioning bodies who have polluted themselves. The other trinkets should be in the amateurs and the Olympics. These agencies and sanctioning bodies say they have Olympic-style drug testing, but don't contribute to the Olympics that has a boxing program. If they did, their testing partner would be under that all-seeing eye. Don't you agree? At least restore the dignity in the titles and matches. The rankings need to be upheld as well. Without this, we don't know who's coming up, who's next for the champ, and who the fuck is legit. It is very inclusive, incomplete, and out of order to say that straps aren't important, and then say we need unification when your fighter wins the strap from any type of fuckery. Men have bled and died, even have become paralyzed. They gave up their lives for the sport. No, we don't expect you to become any fighter to become any of these things in their future, but at least fight hard and restore the dignity and competitiveness behind these championships. Yes, there are other feats in the sport. Undefeated, how many times one won the strap? But now we have new ones that we, or should I say that are biased as well as incorrect and inaccurate, but seem to be accurate for certain fighters. CompuBox, a system that counts the landed missed punches on a fighter. They even say they are 100% accurate, but give certain fighters accurate shot accolades. Most shots landed accolades, etc., etc. These should not be considered at all if they're not 100% or at least 95% accurate. I call this a comfortable contradiction. Definitely a comfortable contradiction on their behalf. The champions who hold titles today are in an era they created that is diluted and are still trying to figure out where to go and how to position themselves within the sport. Do the research and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Hashtag CB2B. My name is J.Cotto. Thank you for joining my fight page. God bless. Stay vigilant. Peace.